In today's video, I'll be revealing why you should stop following Fidelity's popular 401k advice as far as savings into your 401k, and why blindly following generic guidance can actually hurt your retirement outcomes. Now, over the years, I've worked with a lot of people who have followed traditional advice, whether it came from big financial firms or even well-meaning advisors. They hit their savings targets, followed by these formulas, and still end up asking, well, why doesn't this feel like we have enough? What I found is that Fidelity's salary-based savings guidelines leave out the most popular parts of retirement planning, like how taxes actually work, how to make the most of your Social Security, and how your spending really changes once you stop working. And then that's really where the plan either works or kind of falls apart. I'm making this video today to really show you why Fidelity's 401k advice misses the mark and how understanding what actually matters for retirement enables building plans rather than following a one-size-fits-all formula. Now, if you save between $2 and $5 million in your 401k or IRA and things like taxes are keeping you up at night, this video is for you. Fidelity's most well-known retirement guideline says you should have 10 times your salary saved by age 67. So let's kind of give you a breakdown here. So they say 1 times your salary by age 30, 3 times your salary by age 40, 6 times your salary by age 50, and 8 times your salary by age 60, and then 10 times salary by the time you retire at 67. Now, it sounds simple, but the problem is it assumes everyone needs the same amount of income in retirement, and that everyone should save at least 15% of their income every year, no matter their situation. That's not real life. So someone earning $200,000 a year doesn't automatically need $2 million to retire comfortably. Higher earners usually save more and then spend a smaller percentage of their income and often have very different goals. This formula also ignores your favorite uncle, which is Uncle Sam. It doesn't really account for the taxes you'll owe when you start pulling money out of those types of accounts. And yet I still see households making assumptions such as, oh, don't worry, we're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. For many of the families that we work with, that's just not the case, especially when you have RMDs, Social Security, and then Medicare premiums, and they all start interacting with your income on your tax return. At the end of the day, the goal isn't just to hit some magic number or some savings number. The goal is to keep more, pay less, and then spend more earlier in retirement when you're healthy and you want to enjoy it. This formula also completely ignores the retirement spending pattern, what's often called the spending smile. Spending usually starts high when you first retire and then slows down in the middle years and often increases again at the end of life due to healthcare costs. So you don't see that in the savings multiple. You only see it when you actually run the real number through a detailed plan. It's almost impossible to really know how much you need to save for retirement without really walking through these 2 steps. First is a pre-retirement cash flow analysis. What's coming in and what's going out? And a retirement spending projection. What would you want your lifestyle to look like in retirement? Now, once you have those 2, then and only then you can do the math going backwards and trying to figure out what you actually need to support the retirement that you want. Not the retirement a chart says you should aim for or a 90% success rate. Fidelity regularly puts out these reports on an annual basis, showing average 401k balances by age group. And on the surface, it really does kind of sound helpful. But for someone who's been disciplined, who's saved consistently over 30 years, lived within their means, and now they're sitting on $2 to $5 million in a 401k, these numbers are basically meaningless. Comparing yourself to the average doesn't really tell you anything about whether you're ready to retire or not. Your plan needs to be based on your life, not the guy in a national data set who has nothing in common with you, because your spending, your goals, your income sources, none of that is captured in an average balance. And just because your brother-in-law retired with $2 million in his 401k doesn't mean you can too. For you, it might only take $1.5 million, or it might take $2.5 million. It really just depends entirely on your tax strategy, your income plan, and then the lifestyle. Again, if you save $2 to $5 million in these traditional IRAs and 401ks, your federal tax bill is likely going to be your largest expense in retirement. We're not talking about a few $1,000s here or there. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. And it really still shocks me how advisors give advice but never have looked at their client's tax return, because ignoring Uncle Sam isn't just lazy, it's really expensive. And if you want to keep more of what you've worked hard for and saved, that really starts with making taxes a central part of the conversation now, not an afterthought. So let's just start with something very simple. If you truly believe tax rates are going to stay low forever, that when you retire, you'll be in a much lower tax bracket for the next 30 plus years, you'll cut your lifestyle to basically live on rice and beans to avoid making withdrawals from your portfolio, or things like inflation won't touch your spending over the next 30 years, then sure, like skip tax planning. This part may not matter that much to you because for most people that we work with, especially 2+ million saved in a 401k or IRA, the opposite is actually true. When the paychecks stop, the tax bills just don't disappear. They just show up in different types of ways. And there's hidden surprises like RMDs, Social Security taxation, Medicare surcharges, and then a higher marginal tax bracket once you're forced to pull all that money in all at once. Taxes can quietly become the single largest lifetime expense. This is not about avoiding taxes altogether. It's basically being realistic, avoiding unnecessary taxes, the kind that happen when you're not being proactive. The goal of tax planning is very simple: to decide when and how you pay those taxes on purpose. That starts by asking these 4 simple questions. What does my tax picture look like now and after I retire? How do taxes change during my go-go, my slow-go, and my no-go years? What happens when I take Social Security or my RMDs hit? What if my spouse passes before I do? What's that impact of a single filer tax rate on my plan? Now, there's 3 goals of smart tax planning. Again, if you have $2 million plus saved, your tax strategy can't be a guess. So here's the plan that you should aim for. Number 1 is encourage you to think about proactive Roth conversions. This isn't about reacting at tax time. It's about looking over the next 30 plus years. 2 is giving you control. With the right plan, you decide when and how you pay taxes, not Uncle Sam. Next is really just help you slowly divorcing the IRS. Use strategies like Roth conversions or tax-efficient withdrawals or bracket management, tax bracket management, can help you reduce the IRS's share of your retirement. We've personally seen this save families hundreds of thousands over their lifetime in federal taxes. It's not just about the numbers either. It's about giving you more flexibility, confidence, and control. So there has to be a why. What's your why to keep more of what you've built? Because honestly, every dollar that you've saved will eventually go to 4 places. First is yourself, to enjoy the retirement that you've worked for. Next is your family, to leave a legacy for your loved ones or your kids. Charities, the third, if you like giving back as part of your plan. And then the 4th one's just the IRS. Unless you plan ahead, Uncle Sam will take his cut. So smart planning helps you shift more of that money away from the IRS and then really toward the people and causes you care about. Let's talk about something that almost never gets mentioned in that standard retirement advice playbook or those articles is Social Security taxes. The typical advice really kind of sounds like this: save more in your 401k, don't touch it, let it grow, and you'll be fine. That playbook was written back in the 1980s, and it completely ignores the system that works today, especially if you've saved most of your money in these tax-deferred accounts like 401ks, because the more money you withdraw from these pre-tax accounts in retirement, the more of your Social Security ends up getting taxed and showing up on your tax return. For most of you, up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxable, even though a lot of people assume that it's tax-free. So kind of like what causes that is it comes down to how your income interacts with something out there called provisional income, which includes half of your Social Security benefits, your IRAs and your 401k withdrawals, and any other taxable income that would show up on your tax return. The more you take from pre-tax accounts, the more you push yourself into a higher taxation of your Social Security. It's really a domino effect because many people have never planned out how and when you're going to use your savings. You could end up triggering taxes on your Social Security that could have been really avoided with better proactive advice and planning. Let's say we got a married couple that's going to retire in 2030. He's going to be 65, she's 63. For the years leading up to retirement, they've been intentionally executing Roth conversions to kind of slowly shift money from pre-tax to the Roth accounts. Here's kind of what their tax return shows in their first full year of retirement: $23,500 in IRA income, $12,800 in Social Security as taxable, and their total gross income was $57,000. Standard deduction $36,640 based on 2030 estimates. Their federal tax bill on all that income is $0. Why? Because their taxable income after deduction drops below the federal threshold. Their IRA income is not taxed. Their Social Security, thanks to smart planning ahead, is not taxed. It avoids taxation. And the rest of their income they need to live on from their IRAs is completely tax-free and visible on their tax return. Now that you understand what Fidelity kind of gets wrong, and let's kind of look at what actually matters for your retirement, because we call it like a readiness. It's not about just hitting some random number based upon your salary. It's about building a plan based upon the life you want to live, your numbers, and your goals. So I kind of want to break it down very simple. First, start with your actual spending, not your salary. Again, cookie cutter assumptions, you'll need 80 to 100% of your pre-retirement income. At the end of the day, that rarely is like the case. Start with a simple question. What do you actually want to spend in retirement year by year. That means you have to understand your real expenses, travel goals, giving, and lifestyle preferences, not what a chart says the average retiree needs are 80% of your working income. From there, you got to work backwards to see what you actually need to support that life, not the life of some average Fidelity customer. Then layer in sources of income like Social Security. This is where planning starts to unlock real savings, because when you start coordinating your Social Security strategy correctly, taking it at the right time, and then balancing that with other sources of income, it can dramatically reduce the burden of your investment portfolio. I've seen this kind of optimization reduce the amount someone needs in retirement by up to $500,000 by just putting a plan in place to keep more of their Social Security in retirement. Next, make sure you're using tax-efficient withdrawal strategies. This is where sometimes plans just kind of fall apart, because without strategy, you're just reacting. When you're reacting, Uncle Sam usually wins. The right plan looks at all of your accounts, pre-tax, Roth, taxable, and then really figures out the most efficient way to draw income over your lifetime. That means filling up lower tax brackets early, avoiding unnecessary RMD spikes in the future, reducing the taxation of your Social Security, managing Medicare thresholds, and then keeping more of your savings in your pocket that will allow you to spend more over your lifetime. And for most people, you just need a retirement system. You don't just need a spreadsheet or a retirement calculator, a real plan that connects all the dots and all the pieces. We help people age 50 plus with 2 to 5 million in IRAs and 401ks buy out Uncle Sam from their retirement. Click the link in the description and we'll see if we're a good fit.